I'm Jamie Terrazas, and welcome to Baja Sol, your adventure through sand and sea to the soul of Baja California, Mexico. Baja, 70 miles south of San Diego, California, home to whale watching, sport fishing, and the oldest winery in Baja. But the claim to fame of this, the third largest city, isn't just the nightlife and the history, but the widely diverse desert southeast of Ensenada and the 40-year-old race to survive it.
Hey, off-road racing, when the flag drops, let me tell you, the BS stops.
It's a challenge. Off-road racing is an all-day crash. It's just some guys crash harder than others.
I know that the more I do it, the more I love it.
Well, these guys are tough. They don't know the word fear. They do it with bragging rights. That's what you do. You said, I beat the Baja. And not a lot of people could say that. The Baja usually beats you.
The largest and most popular off-road race in North America is held every November right here on the Baja Peninsula, winding its way through Ensenada, 1,000 miles through the desert. Over the past 30 years, the SCORE International's Baja 1000 has become the pinnacle of off-road racing. With over 340 entries from 12 different countries and over 100,000 spectators, this legendary race has become a huge event. Managing all the details falls on race organizer SCORE International and the godfather of the Baja 1000.
My name is Sal Fish. I'm president and CEO of SCORE International. We make the rules and regulations for the sport. We're basically the NASCAR, NHRA, Indy League of off-road racing.
SCORE International sponsors 3 races in Mexico each year, the San Felipe 250, the Baja 500, and the Baja 1000, as well as 3 in the States. And Sal Fish goes back to the early days before the races were worldwide attractions.
Well, SCORE International was founded approximately 33 years ago by the late Mickey Thompson, a very well-known automotive celebrity. Both Mickey and myself were racing in Baja at that time, and there was really a need to organize off-road racing, especially in Baja California.
But off-road racing on the trails and dunes of Baja was not a new idea.
We had been in Baja once or twice in some Volkswagen buses. I decided to put fat tires on my Volkswagen bus, which showed us that the car would go out over the sand dunes and out on the beach, and everybody piled into it, and I was the only one that could go out on the beach. So then I suppose that dictated the idea behind the dune buggy. My name is Bruce Myers. I'm the creator of the Myers-Manx dune buggy.
Bruce Myers has been cruising Baja for more than 60 years. His creation, the Myers-Manx, is a beach icon, but its beginnings were much more humble.
I was in Pismo Beach playing with the sand sailor with some friends, and I saw these, what they called water pumpers. They didn't have big fat tires in those days, so they put 2 or 3 wheels on each rear corner. It wasn't too capable. It would get stuck easily because it was quite heavy. I also saw a Volkswagen chassis, just the floor pan with nothing on it but the seats and a guy with a steering wheel in his hand and just flying around making those water pumpers look pretty silly.
While the water pumpers were big and heavy, the first dune buggies were light and nimble. Built on a modified Volkswagen Beetle frame, the Myers-Manx also featured one of Bruce's skills learned from crafting sailboats, the fiberglass body.
I didn't invent the dune buggy, nor did I invent fiberglass, but I brought them together.
Bruce Myers was an ingenious guy. He came up with the idea of, building this fiberglass body, putting it on a shortened VW chassis, modifying the engine, modifying the suspension, and tackle the Baja.
What you really wanted was to be able to drive down any dirt road and see a sand dune off to your right and say, let's go over there, and just turn and go over there. You can't do that with most cars unless it's a four-wheel drive or a Jeep or something like that. But that became a kind of a wonderful toy to go and explore. And I mean, when we explored Baja, you got 1,000 miles of of history to explore.
And exploring he did. From Tijuana to La Paz to San Felipe, the Myers-Manx handled the unpredictable terrain of Baja and was relatively inexpensive to manufacture. But what really brought attention to Bruce and the Manx was a little-known record and about 1,000 miles of mountains and sand.
The way the Baja races, I think, respond was by our ambling about Baja for a period of years and listening to this tale about these motorcyclists that had ridden the length of it in some 39 hours, almost 40 hours. We weren't sure that you could do that. On the other hand, we weren't really trying to put together any kind of a record of our own. I remember going into the police station and saying, I would like to talk to the police chief. And they brought me to the police chief, and he spoke pretty good English. And I said, we're trying to set a record between here and the California border. He said, why? Well, it's pretty hard to tell us why.
But in April 1967, he and driving partner Ted Mangles did have a plan. Bruce would check in at the tourism office in La Paz, and upon arrival in Tijuana, would report to the local police station to mark their time.
So we got there at 7 in the morning. The police didn't know who we were, why we were there, so we had to give an hour away to go over to the other tourism office, and he was an hour late, so we gave another hour away in order to set this record, but we still did it in 35 hours.
This 35-hour record soon hit newspapers around the world, and others soon followed. In June, a group of 6 off-road adventurers, Ed Perlman, Dick Seepeck, Claude Dozier, and Ed Orr, drove 2 of Pete Condo's Chevoitas from Tijuana to La Paz. Chevoitas are Toyota Land Cruisers with Chevy V8 engines under the hoods. Bruce let Drino Miller and John Lawler use a Manx to document the trip. Then the following month, in early July, journalists Ralph Poole and Spence Murray drove an AMC Rambler to La Paz. Later that month, Ed Perlman and his group of racing friends met at his home to discuss forming a sanctioning body to organize off-road racing. The National Off-Road Racing Association was then formed. Nora's first order of business, recognizing Myers and the first Baja record.
Then I was awarded a trophy, which is right over here, a little dinky trophy. It's the world's first off-road racing trophy. A pair of wings on a wheel, and it says world record. And there we go. In the following month, there are 6 weeks, we had the first Mexican road race. They weren't called Baja Thousands, they were called the Mexican 1000.
The inaugural Mexican 1000 took off from Playa Tijuana October 31st, 1967. There were 68 vehicles, including 4 Myers-Manx. Although Bruce didn't win, Vic Wilson and Ted Mangles piloted their number 10 Manx to a first-place finish, catapulting the dune buggy and Bruce Myers to international acclaim.
That's how the whole thing started, and today we have a whole new form of automobile racing.
We're privileged to be in Baja California. It's our responsibility to be the stewards of the land, so to speak. It's an incredible country. It's an incredible piece of land. The real estate there is awesome when you consider you have the Pacific Ocean on one side, the Sea of Cortez on another, incredible pine forests, lava flows, dry lake beds, washes, missions, pine trees, sand hills, dune hills. It's an awesome place.
From a little-known world record to a grueling race for bragging rights to million-dollar trophy trucks covered in big-name sponsors, the Tecate Score Baja 1000 has become the biggest event in Baja. Now, what makes this race so special is the connection that the drivers have to the land and to the people.
I would still go down there and love to do. I still have places I haven't been yet. And this is almost 60 years ago that I started going to Baja. And there's places I still want to go see, and I want to do it in a buggy.
To find out when you can catch the next race and experience the energy of Baja and its people, feel free to visit scoreinternational.com or bajasol.tv. Coming up on Baja Sol, we visit one of Baja's oldest resorts and later, a teacher who runs his school on faith.